All right, guys, Bob Johnson. This is another hour of the Power Hour, and we are here with All My Sons Moving. We have Ed Feiner, Chief Customer Officer,
yes,
and Jameson Olsen, Director of Marketing and Business Development. How you guys doing?
Doing fabulous.
Awesome. Well, I know this is... You're not doing good?
I'm good.
Okay. You're awesome, Jameson. Come on. I know this is a busy time, so I appreciate you guys giving me the most valuable thing you have to give, your time for this next, 45 minutes or so of the show. So, all right. So we're going to get a couple things out of the way really quick. You're an ASU graduate.
Yes, I am.
Right? And my daughter is going through this this recruiting process. One of my daughters is now for beach volleyball, and she had a really good conversation with the beach volleyball coach at ASU. So you good with the college? Good with the experience you had?
It's a great college.
Yeah,
great for sports. Great. What does she want to study besides volleyball?
Yeah, right. Well, that's one of the things the coaches ask. She actually wants to do entrepreneurship, and then something to do with like finance or economics or something kind of tied into that critical thinking.
Yeah.
But definitely in the entrepreneurship field.
It's a great business school. It has a good honors program. So I would definitely encourage her to look at ASU.
Really? Okay.
Yes. Yeah.
Well, a little bit more digging into that. I don't know how much time you had because, I mean, you were like, weren't you like president of your fraternity or something like that?
All right. Who dug up the dirt?
No, this even gets better.
I thought we were talking about moving here.
So this gets better. President of fraternity. Then he was like the Greek god or something like that. He won that award. And then he was homecoming king. I mean, like...
Mr. Popularity.
Right. What happened? What was your college experience like?
I had a great time in college. Let's just leave it at that so I don't get myself in trouble. No, it was, I joined a fraternity and it gave me access to a lot of things.
Right.
And the brothers that I had back then are still my best friends. Matter of fact, I'm going to Italy with one of them in 2 weeks. So
oh my gosh.
So we've kept in touch. It was more about relationships than anything else.
Uh-huh.
And ASU gave me a great foundation to build upon. So I'm very happy. But yeah, I had a lot of fun. That's
awesome. Well, I do hope, that's definitely one of the schools in consideration for her, and it's a great program. And we have one of our very dear friends. Their son is going to go and do the Walter Cronkite School for Broadcasting and everything. Yeah. And we got to do a video for him to help him get in. So for the BX Media, we got to do something, and it was super cool. And I mean, I really feel like you're going to see, this kid, Evan Schreier, on ESPN. Yeah. I mean, he's that good at broadcasting.
Well, our good friend that I just mentioned, Jeff and Julie, their daughter went to the Walter Cronkite school.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then she went to Washington to actually do her internship there. So very exciting, very good school.
Nice. Well, I know yours was easy to pronounce when I did my little research, but Jameson, I had no idea how to pronounce your school. I mean, like I looked at that, I'm like, yeah, I'm not even going to try that. But thankfully you told me it was Duquesne.
Duquesne.
See, I even messed that up, right?
Duquesne.
How is that thing? It's spelled like what?
Duquesne.
But
it's Duquesne.
Duquesne.
Where did the name come
Where the
from?
heck is that?
It's in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania.
Where's that?
In Pennsylvania.
Yeah, that's way up there. That's where are you born and raised up there?
Mm-hmm.
Or okay.
Yes.
So you're a Northeast girl.
I am. My hometown was 7 miles from the Ohio border.
Wow. Okay. Yeah.
Western
I grew up down South Texas, which I was like 7 miles from Mexico.
Right.
But yeah, okay. So and I know because my wife was the same, you're an Alpha Phi.
I am an Alpha Phi.
All right. That's a big network right there.
It is. Yeah.
And she wants my oldest, who's going to Loyola Marymount to play beach volleyball in LA, which Alpha Phi is a big deal over there.
Oh, they're the
West
it
Coast.
Girls. They're the it girls there.
The it girls.
Yep.
Well, I don't know if I want her to be the it girl, but I do know that it has a great network. You guys take care of each other. But you were also a social chair or something like that.
I was social chair for 3 years
I got to believe that's helped you do what you do now in the marketing and business development. Kind of got you in the groove, being able to talk to people.
It set the tone for what a good event looks like. That's for sure.
Well, and I mean, like, we kid about that. I was in a fraternity. I was president for my fraternity. I wasn't like the Greek god or anything like that, homecoming king that, Ed over there won. But it taught me a lot, right?
Right.
You learn at that age a lot of leadership skills because you're herding cats sometimes, and it's trying to understand what these kids are really wanting when you're 19, 20 years old, and trying to figure out your own way. And you kind of learn. I mean, you do. You realize it's not all about parties. It's not all about, those kind of things. It's about, some of the charitable stuff that you're going to be doing, or just helping these kids, find relationships and people that they can hang on to, and heck, go to Italy with. Do you have any of those friends?
I do. Some of my best friends are still my sorority sisters. I have some here in Texas.
Okay.
One of them's here in Dallas. Another one's down in Houston. And when we all go back to Pennsylvania, the majority of them are back in Pennsylvania, in Pittsburgh. And when I go home, it's just like a sorority reunion all over again. And most of their husbands were their boyfriends while in the sorority.
Yeah.
And I was pretty much single throughout college. So it was like them drawing straws of who's going to take care of Jameson tonight. As an adult.
Does that still happen now? I mean, a lot of people probably still take care of Jameson. Yeah, exactly.
But as an adult, when we all get together, it's pretty much me running solo, and they still draw straws as the husbands now. Who's going to take care of JMO tonight?
JMO. Yeah, I forgot. We are going by JMO. We've had a 5-6 year relationship already.
Yes.
So I'm okay using JMO, right?
You are.
Yeah. So back to the relationship piece and why we're here, because we have a great partnership and a relationship together. I mean, you guys have done so much for my company, Bob Mortgage, and just the relationships and the introductions, and heck, you even moved my company, right? I mean, so there's been a lot of good things that we've done together, and I love the story of all my sons, and how it started. And I mean, it used to be a family-owned business, right? And I mean, guys, think about this, like 4 or 5 generations, right? I mean, and then you had, I read one time, there was I think the grandfather or something like that started it because he had an ice cream truck and somebody needed to move, and bam, there you go. Now you have all my sons kind of being developed right there. A little bit more trucks now than just that ice cream truck.
Yeah,
just a little bit. Y'all have grown, but and I know, Ed, I know you can speak to this, obviously doing what you do every day for all my sons, but it's never changed, right? The care of the customer and what's important. So let's kind of talk about the marketing stuff, right? So from a business development and marketing side, you guys have a large network of partners that you guys really develop and work with to basically help reach the consumer, right? So kind of give me an idea of what your marketing and business development relationship looks like with those partners. What do you do?
For me, I always want to go in with my palm down, whether it's one of our partners or a real estate agent, and because I want to say, how can we help you grow your business?
Right.
What can we do to be a good partner for you?
Right.
Not just, hey, how can I earn your business, or this is what you can do for me. Like, it has to be a mutual relationship. And I think that's really what we pride ourselves on, is when we're partnering with somebody, making sure we go into it, knowing that we want to help them grow. Because when someone grows that you're partnering with, you're going to grow organically together.
Yeah, so it's kind of speaking to the relationship or the client relationship standpoint. So you're networking through, I guess, to get to the end client that's going to move, but it's not necessarily just about that one client. It's about how we're helping the connectors of those clients, right, grow their business.
Yeah, and it's about longevity too. It's not a speed race, right? It's a marathon, and when you're partnering with somebody and you have the same end goal in mind for your customers, whether it's mortgages and you want to have a great mortgage experience, or moving and having a great moving experience, at the end of the day, how does that customer walk away knowing that the partners that all came together to make sure that they had the great experience moving into their next home, or so on and so forth. So
yeah, and that's kind of what we were going with Ed on the experience piece, because I mean, we have two obviously takes on this, because you're coming at it from the marketing and development side to that connector of the client, which is maybe your real estate partners, your mortgage partners, title partners. I mean, there's a lot of different things that we could go into and talk about. And Ed, you're really looking at, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, you're looking at the end user, which is the networking through person, the one that actually needs the move, right?
Yeah.
Would that be your main focus?
I think it's a combination. It starts with, we have a statement that we always have with us all the time. The customer's always with us.
Okay.
And people go, okay, yeah, all businesses say that, the customer's always with us. And we say, no. What I always like to describe is like, imagine your child, if you have one, sitting next to you, and are you making the right decisions on their back? How you talk, how you act, how you look. And when people hear that, that's how we try to approach it with the customer. So from one point of view, irregardless of where the customer comes from,
right,
we always try to make the best decision for that client, that customer. Now, when you come back to the relationships, Jameson and I work together on part of my role besides the end user, the client, is about business development and building relationships on a local and national level. So that falls within what I do.
Right.
And now to do that, what we say is that we have a lot of
God, I feel
I'm sorry, guys.
You're fine. You're fine.
So I don't know what we want to go back to. But
yeah, go ahead.
The point of what I was trying to say is that we take a lot of responsibility and care when someone gives us the opportunity to work with their clients.
Right. Yep.
Because they have a relationship, and we're here to protect that relationship and make sure it goes well. So that client wants to, have a relationship beyond the transaction. What we say, if life is kind of like what you do after the house is sold and after you did the move. It's, do you have a relationship? Are you dependable? Can you,
moving's hard. I mean, because you got to think about this, and I mean, you have, like, when you pack up my stuff, it's the stuff that I've accumulated with over years, and there could be collectibles, there could be really expensive things, there could be something that you might think isn't as valuable as what it ultimately is because it's not expensive, but it was passed down from one generation to another, right? And so you have to really look at this more as just a move, but it's really about like the valuables and the experience that I'm going to have, and how do I feel about you taking care of, not only from the packing, but it's the outcome of when it's unpacked, right?
Absolutely. Jameson and I have always said we're not moving furniture, we're moving people's lives.
Okay.
And when you start to think of it that way, that grandfather clock or that TV that person just bought, that's their prize and possession, right? We think exactly like how you just said, right? It's very important to remember that it's not just a transaction, it's not just a move. This belongs to somebody, and there's a lot of sentimental value. And moving is stressful beyond, when you ask somebody, how'd your move go? They're not just talking about the boxes that were moved. They're talking about all the other things you have to do that go around with getting your kids in school or getting things changed. And there's a lot of stress at that time. So we need to be that partner, that the person that's going to help them throughout that process.
And how does that play from a marketing and development standpoint, Jameson, with your partners, right? I mean, how are you in communication with them? Because obviously they're the one that referred the client, so there's a connection there, and I'm assuming you're pretty involved with that as well.
Yeah, when we receive a referral from one of our partners, we know that we're a reflection of that partner, and we take that very seriously. Into a whole new level, right? And so I pride myself on being able to be the first person that customer speaks to, because I want to give them the warm and fuzzies about moving and make them feel good, even before the estimator gets out to that home. And then also it makes them feel good to know that they're not just a number at a company. That they have a personal connection to somebody at the company with all my sons, and if something does happen, which 9 times out of 10 it doesn't, but if it does, that they have someone, a direct contact. They don't have to dial that 800 number. They want to have that live person.
Yeah, and to say, it's like in my business, right? You can't be 100% perfect, but all we can expect every day is to work to be 100% perfect, right? I mean, it's the action that we're taking every day to get incrementally better. But what you just said is I think the golden ticket for customer experiences and creating raving fans is when you can get in front of that and say, look, it may not be perfect, but we're going to be here to ensure that if something needs to happen, you have a direct contact. We can take care of it really quickly. I mean, that's the feeling that we want to hear, right? As a client, at least, right? Because I know, my move actually did go pretty perfect with the corporate side, but I knew that if I needed anything, man, it's one phone call and you're on it, and it was going to be taken care of. But the people that we had, I mean, those lead guys and everybody that was there, I mean, they were just like on it, right? They had everything. Everything was perfect. The move was great. They, made me laugh. They let me take pictures with them. I mean, it was just a cool experience, right? That's the way we wanted to feel.
Right.
Yeah. So down to you, I mean, customer experiences, it's easy to talk about, right? Because we all want that. Very few of us know how to really track a customer experience. I know you guys do a really good job of that because your investment in technology. Can you speak to that a little bit on what you guys do internally to ensure that you're getting really close to perfection?
Yeah. Well, I think, before I talk about the technology, as you were talking, I think it's to talk about the customer experience. When a customer comes to us, whether it's through a referral or online or some other way, we take a lot of pride in making it easy to buy. That's what we always say. One of our core tenets that I was going to tell you about that Robert had was to make it easy to buy. And the flip side is to make it easy to operate for our operators. So it's always about our role, the leader's role from our leadership team is to take the friction points out wherever we can. And it's ever evolving, right? And this will lead into technology. But if someone comes to us, we're literally, after you book a move with us, within 24 hours, our operator calls you, right, and welcomes you. And then after that, there's several touch points before the move. And then the day of the move, there's someone that's talking to you to make sure you're good. And then they're texting or communicating the way you would like to be communicated. And throughout the whole process, so that we can be with you through, if anything does go wrong, as you mentioned, we could course correct in real time. Now, that's the experience, to track all that experience. And we'll do over 200,000 moves this year. So that's a lot to track, right?
That's a lot.
Right.
A lot of families, right?
Right. A lot of families that we're touching. And it's kind of like we said, we're moving people's lives. What Robert, our founder, did with our leadership team before I got there in about 2008, we really went to a mobile experience. We added what we call Sparrow, which is our CRM system. And it allows us, the whole purpose was we have cameras to talk to our operators in real time. We have metrics that we see every customer, every source, what is happening, the status of that in real time, so that the operator and us have a pulse continuously throughout the day of what's happening, regardless it's one move or thousands of moves, but it's a process that we've brought in through our own system and technology.
I think the real-time piece is key there, because you can make adjustments after the fact, but it doesn't really take care of that client right then and there. And so being able to pivot and give instant change, right, is I guess I would feel if I was a client and all of a sudden something was going on and they could make an immediate adjustments, I'd be like, my stress level goes down, right? Silence is deadly. A lot of times we talk about in sales or whatever, silence is deadly. And if I don't hear from you until 2 weeks after the move, your opportunity to really wow me has really gone, right? Okay, so that's cool that the Sparrow and the technology it has does that. How does that change? Have you found that the implementation, I guess, of that has helped you on the marketing side?
Oh yeah, it's a game changer because I get a lot from my customers that how impressed they were that in real time on the day of the move they could talk to somebody, they could call somebody. Besides myself, I had a move in Orlando happening a few weeks ago, and the email I got from the customer afterwards was about her experience, and she was just so impressed. She didn't have the best when it started, but she was so impressed on how she was able to speak to somebody like right then and there, and they were able to pivot. And at the end of the day, she was one of the most happy customers. She said it was a great moving experience. So that the real time and handling it right then and there, rather than 2 weeks later. Because going silence is not the best way.
It is.
It makes it that much more special.
Yeah, and we always, whether it's business, it's sports, it's life, we always want to start out great and end great, but sometimes you just don't start out great, right? And so how quickly, and like we talked about my daughters, how quickly can you adjust, right? You have to be able mentally to adjust so that you can end in the place that you wanted to end, right? Or even better. And in business, the same things I strive for and struggle with, honestly, is how can I modify, change, pivot, adapt, in real time with my clients so that I can get that kind of feedback to deliver to my team so we can adjust the experience they're having. Because mine's just, it's a different. I mean, on the mortgage side, it's different than moving, but it's the people's lives we're dealing with, right? And it's high emotion, it's income, it's assets, it's credit, it's all the things that nobody ever wants to talk about, right? They tell you to stay away from all that stuff and religion and politics. Well, I'm right in the middle of it all, right? With those three big items on their transaction, right? And so getting that type of feedback is would be big. I haven't made that investment in that piece of technology. So,
well, part of the technology also has allowed us to adapt over the years. We always say, do it now. So we have almost 10% of our moves now are within 2 days. Meaning they're gonna move today or tomorrow.
Okay.
Moving used to be 3 or 4 weeks out. It's getting faster and faster and faster. So the technology is really important to be able, because if someone wants to get an estimate now,
right?
It's not scheduling an appointment for 3 days from now. I need to do it now.
Yeah.
So that we have a lot of virtual estimating. We have other ways to do it. We're trying to adapt to make whatever the customer wants and wants it now. Let's do that versus let's fit them into our process.
Yeah, so that's interesting. So like the virtual estimate, I mean, if I were to schedule an estimate, I mean, it could be a couple of days before you get out there to actually see my house or whatever. So you have the ability for me to put in the information and say, this is what I have, and then you could immediately quote, a reasonable quote so that I know, oh, okay, this is what the cost is going to be to do this.
Yeah, it could be done that way, or it could be actually we're on the phone with you, almost doing a FaceTime where you're walking through the house.
Like a video chat.
And the reason that's important, sometimes people don't realize all the things they have. Mm-hmm. And by going through that conversation, it's like, oh yeah, and this item I want, how do we want to pack that item? What should we crate this item? Some of those things don't come in by just getting a list. That's having a conversation with the person.
I like a video chat. That's cool. Yeah, a peek into their house so you could really see, okay, hey, yeah, you said you had this couch, but I didn't realize it was a, 10-foot couch and all this other stuff, right? I mean, that's going to change the move a little bit than just a normal couch,
right?
Like a little love seat like you're on. Well, and then, outside of just the quote and being virtual, I got to believe your moves have picked up, especially since COVID and the pandemic and everything that we're in and work from home. Did y'all see a spike in business because of kind of what we went through with people moving?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
We definitely saw a spike, whether it was because they moved out of their home because they weren't working, or whether it was because I believe during people, like, for example, my neighbors bought their home during 2020.
Yeah.
And they have the exact same build as I do from the builder. And I paid $150,000 more than they did.
Well,
but they bought theirs during 2020. So, whether it's something like that, but there was definitely a lot of moving. Moving was on the uptick just because of all different kinds of life circumstances that happened during COVID and then post-COVID.
Yeah, I think, from the mortgage side, we saw a big pickup, and I'm taking out refinances from that standpoint because rates did drop considerably. But I was really more looking at like this, a big portion of our business was relos, mm-hmm. People moving in from whatever that northeast place you were, Pittsburgh,
Pennsylvania.
Yeah, Pennsylvania. I'm just kidding. From northeast,
California,
from West Coast, right?
Yep.
They saw opportunities to come to Texas, Dallas, Austin, mm-hmm. San Antonio, those type of markets because they like the climate a little bit better. The tax base was a little bit better from where they were. The company just gave them an opportunity to work from home, and I think people mm-hmm. like kind of took advantage of that. Mm-hmm. Did you guys? How did you guys adapt? I guess with work from home and all the things that you guys had to do. Did that kind of impact you in a positive way or a negative way as it relates to all my sons?
Well, we've been very fortunate that we've been growing on average probably 18% every year for the last 30 years. So
18% a year for 30 years?
Yes.
Okay.
And so before COVID, we were growing 20% naturally, right? And that has to do with our existing locations in addition to open up a few. We only opened a few at that time.
Okay.
And then when COVID hit, it affected everybody for about 3 or 4 months. But you said pivot and change quite a bit. Mm-hmm. We believe that's a core strength of ours as a company. So, within the first couple of weeks of COVID, to talk specifically, we had changed our complete website landing page to move with us safely, mm-hmm. the scripts that our agents were talking about, the introduction from the operator, the trucks, the uniforms. We were very overt with what we're doing to make sure if you're going to move, we're going to do well by you and move you safely. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
That was in a week. We made all those changes. Within 3 months, we were already seeing some of the demand come back.
Right.
Because we have tools and our technology looks 60 days out. So we started seeing the traffic before it actually happened. And what we did as a team, we kept the core of our business. We didn't lay anybody off. We didn't make wholesale changes.
Mm-hmm.
We invested in the business at that time. And so when the demand came back in around end of June and July, we were off to the races and we were growing 30, 40% instead of 20%.
Oh my gosh.
So, and we've been blessed since then, and we're doing very well this year. We're having another great year this year. We have 85 locations, 33 states.
33 states, 85 locations.
So we're very excited about the potential to grow, but also besides the growth of locations and states, it's more about growing in the markets we're already in and becoming more and more of a part of the community, which Jameson and the whole team leads.
So the growth, obviously you have offices, and then you have people, right? And so, I'm going to kind of go on a limb here and say from a chief client customer relationship piece, that you have to be focused on the internal client as well, which would be the employees and the team members of All My Sons. What do you guys do to keep morale high, to keep them focused on the family and the experience that the family's having? Can you kind of speak to that a little bit? And I know, Jameson, you do some stuff. I've seen we've been part of those little rallies or whatever, but I mean, what do y'all do to kind of keep these guys happy and girls?
So for a long time, pre-COVID, we were hosting annual conventions, rallies, if you will, where we would bring in, we'd have two of them, our annual operations. One where every operator within the United States would be flown to Dallas, and then we had our annual sales one. We also would have our annual top driver one.
Okay.
So drivers from around the country, from All My Sons, would be here too, and they would get specific trainings that they could take back to their teams. And it just made them feel so much more special to be included in something along those lines.
A little truck driver contest or something. Y'all do anything like that?
We
did have little toy cars brought in to one convention,
and we raced, and
we raced them.
We raced real cars.
We did. So at our last convention, there's an exotic car racetrack on the other side of Fort Worth, on the west side, and they took the whole company there for the day for training, and we got to do race cars on their track.
Tell them what race cars though.
The Spider was there. What was it?
Lamborghini, Ferrari,
the
Porsche.
Viper.
Oh God!
Audi,
Yeah. This isn't. Yeah, this isn't.
Those fancy cars really low to the ground.
Oh yeah, fast.
But it was to recognize, the great performance of the team, and to talk about the culture. It was less about training, and it was more about saying, let's celebrate, let's kind of come together and talk about what our vision is for the next 3 to 4 years.
Yep.
And then, we had over 100 operators come in and give them a chance to experience something that they would never experience.
Right.
And it was called Rally 100 because we wanted to rally them to go back and give 100% to their people. And 100% meant at work and at home. Okay. So it wasn't just we want 100% because if you're 100% at home, you're going to give back and better at work, right?
Sure.
So it was that, hey, we're a very competitive group. We like to win, but we want to win in the right way. And that was one of the conferences that people were very excited about, not just about the racing, but just the commitment and the love of what we do was very evident.
Yeah, you got to focus internally to really be able to impact the people external, right, to the organization. So I love that. I've always been a big proponent of, understanding who your client is. And in my world, you have multiple clients, right? And you have to decide who's your first client, who's your second client, who's your third client. Because, we have our employee base, which has to be, in my mind, our first client, right? Our first line, because we have to take care of them and make sure that they understand everything that they're responsible for, right? We have a big responsibility when we handle somebody's finances. And we have to own that. We have to understand what that responsibility means and then how we're going to effectively, positively impact that next level client. But our next level client, interestingly enough, isn't the borrower. It's still the referral partner, right? Because the majority of our business comes from referrals, right? And specifically would be realtors or builders, CPAs, financial planners, right? And so we have to understand that those are the next level clients who, they need certain things, right? They're the ones that are connecting us to their client, the end borrower, right? And they have to be, we have to make sure that they're well communicated with. We have to make sure that they're part of the overall experience, and how they feel is a direct correlation into will we get more business, right? Because that third level client is the actual borrower themselves.
Yes.
And if we feel like we're taking care of the first two, the third one is going to be, they're just going to love it, right? Because we're talking to them anyway about interest rates and closing costs and credit scores and just all that stuff. So interesting dynamics on how that flows. But I love the fact how you focus on the employee first. Now, having the whole relationships and partnerships and things of that nature, and we talked a little bit about that. But y'all also are very involved, like with a lot of different charities. I think that's a core component of your brand, right? It's not something you just talk about. You walk the walk. So kind of speak to that and why you guys are focused on being a very charitable organization.
When I first of all my Sons has always been a very charitable organization. One of I think in the heart of the founders was, St. Jude's and a few other charities that they donated to on an annual basis nationwide.
Okay.
When I started with the company in 2013, it was a different beast for me because it was moving, right? The people that would turn out to be our referral partners, we're not a necessary evil for the closing process. And I really set out to change that persona about moving. Okay. And one of the things that I wanted to pride ourselves on is being a pillar in the community that we serve. And with each location, that can look different ways, right? But specifically where I was at that time in South Florida, I really wanted to, breast cancer awareness is a massive push down there. It's big down there. So I really wanted to not just give back by maybe doing a sponsorship or giving money, but showing that we are a pillar in the community we serve. And we started Join All My Sons as we move for a cure. Okay. Where we started wrapping our 26-foot trucks bright pink. Right. And we would name them after either cancer survivors, people who lost their lives to cancer. One of our trucks is down in Fort Lauderdale is named after the mom of one of our movers down there who lost her life to breast cancer. So I'm getting goosebumps just thinking about it. But, it started out with one, and now we have over 30 pink trucks in the United States. And sometimes it's different, in some of our offices, it could be a different charity. Right. Alzheimer's awareness is a big one for one of our offices. So we really want to give back in that way. Okay. But not only that, it's when disaster hits our locations in this community of where our locations are served. For example, the floods of Baton Rouge, our New Orleans offices really came together to transport over 90,000 diapers from New Orleans to Baton Rouge. And our trucks were the only trucks that could get through on those during the floods. Yep. So we did a lot of transportation. So it's really a pillar in the community no matter what happens in the community.
Definitely not just moving.
No, definitely just not moving furniture. Like Ed said, moving people's lives and whatever at that moment they need in their life that they may be missing.
And that's awesome. You definitely are doing more than just what a typical mover would do. And I think that's part of that speaks to the culture, and what probably separates you from others is not just looking at it as an individual transaction or move.
I think it's important when I say 84 locations, 32 states, we still view ourselves as very much a local community based for that office, for that operator, for that referral partner, for that client. Right. And if you always focus and you're not just a number, it really brings you down home to say, okay, how do we do our best to take care of that? Yeah. And honor the relationship. That's really what it all is that you're entrusting us with your most precious items, right, or most precious client, right, whatever it is. and we have an obligation, and we take it seriously. But we also, I've told you before when we were just getting to know each other a little bit better, is that we love what we do, and that resonates throughout our company. And you gotta love it. If
Gotta be passionate about
if it's just a job, I don't know if you would really have the energy.
Right.
Every day coming to work, whether you're a mover, an operator, or someone on the leadership team, Jameson.
Right.
It's almost, we treat it as a sport, and we have fun, and we're always trying to get better at it. And if there's a better way to do it, I want to know it.
So I guess that would then speak to like what you guys are focused on at a leadership level with obviously looming recession, talks like that. I mean, you have all this potential negativity, kind of out there in the world right now. How are you guys navigating those conversations? And I mean, obviously at a 30 or 40% growth rate, I think you're navigating them pretty well. But what are you ensuring that you need to be doing to continue that, I guess, even during this time?
Yeah, I mean, we're looking for ways to be more efficient, like every company right now with the cost of fuel and other things going up, that you really can't control it, but you have to adapt to it.
Okay.
And so we're doing our best to try to minimize any cost increases and kind of make sure we deliver a great experience, right? We don't all know what's going to happen with the recession, right? But what I'm confident about is whatever happens, we'll be able to adapt. If there's less homes moving, we'll do more apartments. If there's more, whatever the mix is, we're going to shift and we're going to do this. If there's a different way to estimate and people need to have it in a different way, we're going to adapt to that, right? So it's hard to have a crystal ball to know what's going to go on, but I'm confident given the history and what we've been able to do throughout 2008 through COVID, is that we'll find a way to adapt and become stronger. We say be stronger in it, not just stronger out of it.
Strategy stays the same, tactics kind of change, right? So you're always pivoting or changing tactics to ensure that you're taking care of the client in the current environment that we're at.
Yeah.
Sports, obviously you brought that up a while ago, but y'all are big into supporting some local sports franchises. Speak to that and what that means to the All My Sons organization and why you guys do that.
So we've been partnering with pro and collegiate sports teams for over 10 years.
Okay.
And there's a few things on the surface that obviously, when you partner with such a prestigious sports team such as the Dallas Cowboys, SMU Athletics, being able to associate yourself with such a high level organization and you yourself being on such a high level with your organization and your organization being up there as well, putting the two together just adds that much validation to everything that we're trying to do as All My Sons Moving and Storage. And then it allows us to, you'd be surprised how many movers that we have. Like when we say taking care of internally, what we can do is it helps us also not only with going out to the general public and being the preferred mover of SMU Athletics or the Dallas Cowboys or the Miami Dolphins, but internally how it affects the morale of our company internally in those locations as well. It allows us to give back to not only the community but also our movers and our employees with employee games.
Employee games, incentives.
100%. Yeah. When we
who doesn't want to go to a Cowboy football game? Right?
Who doesn't want to go? So it does. It's
someone from New York or Miami.
Somebody.
So
go to the SMU one.
Right. So it's great for both of them. And on the marketing side of it, having a great partner that wants to see you grow within their organization that you're partnering with, like SMU Athletics and some of the other teams, having them say what's important to you on the marketing front, that makes it easier for us to partner with them.
Gotcha.
And having them put us out to the clientele the way we want to be seen and the light we want to be seen in and how All My Sons wants to be heard.
Right.
Not just another moving company. So, and the client trusts that when Dallas Cowboys or some of the other teams put us out there saying this is our preferred mover, they should be yours as well. That means a lot. And we take that very seriously and it's special to us.
And Jameson's done a terrific job, is that it's not just the imagery on the trucks or just the sponsorship. it goes much deeper with, like we've said, with other partners, right? We move a lot of their coaches and players. We're there for them when they need us. We talk about how we can mutually help each other for, sometimes, they want to develop a business partnership with some other company, and they say, Ed, can you speak on behalf of, and tell them what we do together and why we do what we do together.
Right.
And so we've adapted over the last 3 or 4 years. Before COVID, then during COVID, we made some strides to say football wasn't a great place to invest in at that time. And we worked together to monetize as much as we could out of what we had. And then say, but we're in this for the long term. We're not in this just for a 1-year deal, right? So those are it creates a different kind of relationship, which I'm very proud that she's been able to do that. And that it comes back to everything we do. We love what we do. We want to do right by the people we're working with or we're serving.
And not only that, for example, being a great partner, we expect them to be a great partner to us, which they are, but we also want to be a great partner to them. So for example, when the hurricane hit Houston really hard, 2 of the Miami Dolphins players were just got off a plane. We organized a food drive and really anything supplies drive at Hard Rock Stadium, and we filled 5 trucks in a day. And the Dolphins players got off their plane to support their brothers who were playing with them and from Houston. And we took them to, they were from 2 different parts of Houston, and we did drops at each one's high school that they went to. So we launched 5 trucks from South Florida to Houston with supplies, water, dog food, diapers, baby food, anything that was non-perishable was in that truck. In fact, we blew a few tires, but it was a great experience. And fortunately, I was able to be there on the load, and then also in Houston on the 2 offloads. And that just brings the community together as well. In Houston, we had a football team at one of the locations was in the middle of practice, and he called practice, and the football team came out to help us offload the trucks into the gymnasium. So it's really goes deeper than just being a quote unquote preferred mover and being able to use their logo.
Yeah, I mean the reach that you guys have, because you can, when you leverage organizations at that scale, that size, you do have an opportunity to reach more people, to acquire more clients. But then also we talk about responsibility. Having that partner also puts a lot more responsibility on you because of what their brand is. They're extending their brand to you. But then doing little things like that is just showing your willingness to act. It doesn't have to be about moving. It's just your willingness because of culturally what you're about, the charitable piece. Let's just go do this. I don't know what the outcome is, but this is the right thing to do.
Right.
I think that's a big takeaway for me with regard to all my sons, is just your willingness to act regardless of what that outcome is as it relates to client acquisition and what we make per that client. Has nothing to do with that. What else is next for all my sons? Where are you guys? What do you guys see the next couple of years looking like for the company?
You want me to answer?
Yeah.
Okay. So we're going to continue to grow our existing business.
Okay.
Right. We're getting more and more into storage and most facilities have, but we're going to do that. There's other aspects of moving we're going to kind of add to that. We're going to continue to grow our brand in different states.
Okay.
Because a lot of the things we do, we open up an office, just to give you background. And then what happens is we open up satellite, we call them spoken hubs, so that we can service the geography better. So it may be that we're going to reach more of, like Dallas, we have 5 locations. We started with 1. Right? Just because the population growth, just because the access to help and crews, we need to kind of do that. So that's a core tenet, is right in our core business.
Okay.
Part of, and I was going to tell you about Robert Peterson before, is there's like 4 things. Dominate marketing, and that's more of an internal chant, but it's wherever the customer is, from a referral or online, whatever, all my sons wants to be there. The Cowboys, right? So that's part of who we are. If we're there when people are trying to make a decision, the ability to kind of, have them as a client is accelerated.
Right, yeah.
The next thing is make it easy to buy. Okay, so we're going to make it easy throughout our process. We continuously do that. Book now, whatever else you want to do. Best moving experience, that's ultimately when you got the customer, you made it easy to buy. Now let's make sure they have the best experience, period. The last one, and the reason I went through that, is constantly innovate. It's culturally who we are, right? So we've stepped back and said, okay, we're really good at moving, not to be braggadocious, but we got that down pretty good. And we're going to continue to grow that. But there's so much more that clients need as they're moving than just moving furniture and boxes. And so we have a new brand, a new company that we've been beta testing in South Florida and DFW. Through Jameson's led a lot of the efforts through realtors predominantly. And it's been highly successful. We've learned a lot. Mm-hmm. And so now we have a brand that's called Movingful.
Okay.
And it's going to be a company that just doesn't help you with moving. It helps you with everything else you need, such as junk removal, home security, home warranty. You need your pool fixed. You need other things. You need your TVs hung, everything that you have. And the difference is we're not going to sell leads. We're not selling people's information.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
It's more about when you get a referral from let's say a realtor, that client's going to engage and we're going to present what that realtor wants to present them. The realtor is going to create their own community of existing providers and bring in other providers that other realtors and other people have said, hey, here's somebody I have in this area that you don't have today.
That's vetted. Okay.
And we're going to introduce that client to that realtor's suggestion, that referral, as that's the one you're referring is going to be done seamlessly, on demand when you need it. We're not trying to sell you information. We're not trying to market to you. We're not trying to chase you. Right. It's going to be a community of people doing good for each other. And we believe it works different because there's a lot of people trying to sell people on services.
Right.
We just want to be there throughout the process, like moving. Okay, what do you need before you move? Do you need your house cleaned? What about your new house? Do you need your new house cleaned? Who's going to hang your TVs for you, right? Hey, don't worry about it, Bob. You don't know what you want right now. Just text me or call me and we'll get it taken care of. Because Sue from Coldwell Banker has all your has her referrals that she wants to recommend you, right?
Well, that's a big picture item. What is the ultimate outcome for all my sons creating a
separate entity
to handle that type of stuff?
Well, we want to specialize in the moving process, and that's what we're good at, right? And then what we say is, all my sons isn't maybe the right choice for every client, right? We specialize in home moves and things. If it's a labor only and you don't want a truck, you just need some things moving up inside, we can do that, but that's not our sweet spot.
That's your sweet spot, core competence.
We work with other movers throughout the nation that's what they do. You want to ship a couple of items across the country and you want to do it and you're not worried about a direct service, well, that's another partner that we have.
Okay.
So what this does is allows providers and movers and everybody to participate to get the clients that they really are good at, and then we're connecting that client with that provider.
And with one of your main factors, your ability to market, right? Dominate the market. You will be able to reach more people and then be able to even facilitate more clients, even though they're not clients of maybe all my sons, but you're able to help them, which they remember, right? And then ultimately when they need the moving services, that's where they're going to come back to.
Yeah. So Movingful, it's your go-to referral community. And so it's your community that you're developing.
Right.
It's about referring each other. And it is truly a community because we're going to have each other's best interest. The biggest thing I'm most proud of is not just connecting and organizing the move and all these things, is Movingful is going to advocate on behalf of the realtor, like you said, on behalf of the client, and on behalf of the provider. So we're all sharing and doing good for each other, right?
Doing good via moving. Jameson, JMO, what's up on the marketing side? What are we going to see you guys, you building, you growing, you doing out there? I mean, you're 5 states in 4 days. I mean, what's going on the marketing side?
We're expanding so much with our technology and Movingful and other aspects that we're definitely not forgetting about the grassroots portion of it either. Yeah. And that's really what I specialize in, is the relationship building. And so you might see us partnering with a few more sports teams, different states that we've been working with.
Nice.
And you'll definitely see our real estate industry expand as far as our referral networks go in the different states as well. So I'm really excited about that. You'll see a little bit more in Denver. You'll see some things happening in Myrtle Beach and some of the Carolinas, and definitely always in the state of Florida and Texas.
You love your Florida.
She does.
Yeah. It's not Florida, Georgia. It's like Florida, Texas.
It's the Florida, Texas line.
Hey, that could be a band. You never know. Well, guys, I can't tell you how excited I was to have you both on the Power Hour today and give me a little bit of insight into what you guys are doing. I mean, I've obviously been a client of you guys I've been a fan. Obviously, you and I have been, great friends. You and my wife are great friends, and Alpha Phi sorority sisters. And
We're sorority sisters first.
yeah, I know.
Okay.
But I mean, no, it goes deeper than that. Kind of like what we talked about. It's the relationship. And before we ever knew each other, before we ever did business together, it was like, how can we help each other grow, and how can we make connections for each other? And I think that speaks to both of our organizations and both of us as my wife as individuals. It's all about what we can do to help others, and ultimately as that connector, right? There's a book, Go Giver, that really speaks to the level of a connector.
I just saw that last week. Someone showed it to me.
Did you? Yeah, it's a phenomenal book. You are definitely that. My wife is definitely that. You guys really just look to how you can help others, and then ultimately it always comes back tenfold. But it's been a great show. Thank you guys for sharing so much, and the insight into the company culture and your tenets, basically of how All My Sons was built and how you continue to grow. So hopefully you guys got a little bit of good insight into this on this show, and hopefully we've taken this time and you've given us the most valuable thing you had to give, as well as you guys did. Hopefully there's one thing that you're able to take away to positively impact your client, your business, or your life. So appreciate it, guys. Take care.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.